This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. It's the morning after the night before Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin last night. I am joined by WBC President Mr. Mauricio Sulaiman. Mauricio, how are you, sir?
Fine, fine. Good evening to you. Good morning from Mexico. And I'm very, very excited of the great promotion that was put in last night. I mean, I have to praise all involved because this is the best show we have seen in the whole year. It was amazing, unbelievable. The best fights during the pandemic era and the great show. So I would like to congratulate everyone involved. And it was just an unbelievable night.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, Mauricio. There were several shows last night. Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about Dillian Whyte against Povetkin and Persoon against Katie Taylor. Of course, Matchroom Camp, is it? Fight Camp. I think that's the way it was called. It was just amazing. So congratulations.
Yeah, I knew which one you were talking about. But of course, we'll start with Matchroom Fight Camp last night. The big news in the boxing world. Dillian Whyte knocked out in the 5th round by Alexander Povetkin. First and foremost, what did you make of the fight, Mauricio?
First, I would like to express my concern for Dillian Whyte's health. I am sure the British Boxing Board of Control has taken all precautions, and I am hopeful that all tests will come with good results for Dillian. A shocker, absolute shocking, but not something that could not be expected. It was a great fight that it was a little bit underrated worldwide. It was a tremendous matchup. Povetkin has been in the ring with some of the best, has taken the punches from all the best, and he stayed in the fight and landed one of the greatest shots in the history of heavyweight division. I mean, it was amazing. It was surprising. It was exhilarating. After being down twice in the 4th round, comes back and knocks out cold, dramatically, Dillian Whyte.
It was certainly dramatic. If you can, this is a question I'm asking to everybody I'm interviewing. What was going through your mind at the time where Alexander Povetkin landed that left uppercut?
Let me tell you a brief story that I learned from my father since I was a kid, watching him in ringside, watching him after the fights. And then I asked him what you just told me. What goes through your mind when a fight is over? And he taught me, and I learned from that, you feel extreme happiness for your new champion. And at the exact same time, you feel sad and pride and very deep feelings for the fighter who lost. My father taught me always to go into the ring and go first with the fighter who lost, because to understand how in events like last night, with one punch, everything goes down, everything is finished with one punch, to empathize with their feelings, with their dreams being shattered, so much work before that moment. And then you go to the winner and celebrate with a happiness. So it's a very complex mindset that I feel I have been fortunate to take it from my dad and put it into work. And I have that exact feeling at the exact moment for both the winner and the loser.
That's very well said.
I hope that responded your question.
Did, yes. Thank you very much for sharing that. Always a pleasure to hear stories of your father, the late, great Jose Sulaiman. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. You just mentioned your new champion, Alexander Povetkin, of course, picks up the WBC interim heavyweight title, as well as the diamond title. Now, me and you, I mean, I speak to you more often than I speak to my partner, I think, at the minute. But just for people who haven't seen the interviews that we've done in the last couple of weeks, explain how last night's result impacts on the mandatory status of the WBC.
Yes. Povetkin conquered the WBC Interim Championship, and a special trophy was presented for this fight, the fight of this magnitude. Now everyone understands why. Some people would say, why this fight for a diamond belt? You saw it last night. The diamond belt is a trophy. It's just something that the winner gets to bring home. The clear communications that we have openly had for months and that were ratified during the convention and then in our interview, Dillian Whyte was guaranteed that had he won the fight last night, was going to fight the winner of Fury Wilder 3 without any intervening fights, without any concessions. That was the mandate. Now Povetkin is the WBC interim champion. And the WBC rules call for interim champion to fight with a champion to eliminate such. The WBC has no time at this moment. We have to go back to the board and to just see. There are now, it's a completely different scenario. There's even talks for a rematch, etc., etc., etc. So the ruling, which was very clear, and I am happy that you and I spoke many times, and nobody can come back and start another issue. Very clear. If Whyte won, he was immediate mandatory to fight the winner of Wilder Fury. It's not the case. Povetkin won. It's a great scenario for him. It's a great position, but we will see about the specifics for Alexander Povetkin.
Now, you just touched upon a rematch. Now, immediately after the fight, Eddie Hearn and Dillian Whyte discussed a rematch. Were you privy to that before the fight was made?
No. No, the WBC rules, in this specific rule, it's very old. We have a provision of not allowing direct rematches. That's a rule that was implemented in the 1970s to clear the sport from a possibility of doing a fight that would result in a, in an immediate rematch, and then you have the control of the division, or you leave open for a wrongdoing, or whatever reason the rule was put in place. However, the WBC has approved many direct rematches when a fight is of importance to the world, when there's a public demand for such fight, when there's a controversy, when there's a great fight. And this fight has the elements because Whyte was dominating the fight, knocked him down twice in the fourth, and then he got knocked out cold in the fifth round. So I would think that the WBC board would approve a rematch without any problems.
So just to clarify that, because obviously I knew about the existing rule with the WBC. I've had a lot of questions about this in the last 24 hours. So just to clarify, the WBC, you have to approve the rematch, but in your opinion, you can see the Board of Governors approving the rematch for the interim title.
That is correct. Yeah, every fight, every championship fight has to go through a process of approval. And this one, being a direct rematch, of course, has to do a voting by the Board of Governors. So, but as I mentioned, I see no reason why the board would not approve a rematch. But the first thing has to be the medical clearance of Dillian Whyte, because that was a very dramatic knockout.
What sort of timescale are we looking at for that, Mauricio? Dillian Whyte and Eddie Hearn say they want to invoke the rematch clause straight away. Can we expect a decision from the Board of Governors sometime soon?
Well, the British Boxing Board of Control, I am not certain if they impose medical suspensions after fights, after knockouts. So that's the first step to see what's the medical suspension on Dillian Whyte, how many days, and then training and then fight. So I don't know. That's a timeline that it is up to the promoter Of course, they are coming after a complicated camp with all the pandemic, but Dylan Whyte did a tremendous job. He came in, I believe, 20 pounds lighter than the last fight. So he had good work. Now they need a time to relax and recuperate, and then would start the beginning of training. But I don't know. It's just a matter of making some math and have a. But that the word is in the network and the promoter. So if they're going to do a rematch, they are the ones that will be putting a timeline.
Now, obviously, Alexander Povetkin knocked out Dillian Whyte last night. He's now the interim champion. His date, again, I appreciate we've discussed these things, but we're going to go over them again for people who haven't seen the other interviews. Would the status now be for Alexander Povetkin? Obviously, we had the February 2021 date initially for Dillian Whyte. Alexander Povetkin, it's now part of a new mandatory cycle. Is that correct?
Yes, because the interim champion is mandatory contender. But there's no timeline at this moment. He just won on August 22nd, but it's something that I'm happy that you are asking in order to clarify. Everything that was ruled was clearly stipulated for Dillian Whyte, considering all the process that which occurred. Now, Povetkin is the interim champion, and he has rights, and he has, of course, benefits, but also has obligations. So he just won the championship, and it will be up to the WBC board to analyze and rule regarding the mandatory status of the division.
It's fair to say, though, that now Dillian Whyte is no longer the mandatory challenger. He's no longer interim champion. That provided, regardless of the winner of Wilder Fury 3, that WBC champion will then more than likely be granted a voluntary and not a mandatory.
Absolutely. There's no time restrictions in any sort of way or manner. So whatever, we will see what happens. December 19 is the fight for Fury Wilder, and then there are many opportunities that could lead to any fight.
Now, a lot of people, myself included, were watching last night because obviously the heavyweight division, the marquee division in the sport, everybody has been talking about an undisputed fight, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. A lot of people looked at Dillian Whyte's status with the WBC as something that could potentially hold up that showdown between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Now that's out of the way, all roads clear for undisputed.
Well, that's a fight that everyone has been speculating in the recent past. Fury Joshua. In the past, it was so much speculation. Wilder Joshua. So many things have happened since everything started boiling down to a showdown for all the belts. And this is the beauty of the sport. It's a great sport. It changes the lives of the fighters for the good. And it's a very tough sport when something like last night happens to you. I empathize with Dillian. He's my personal friend, and I can feel he must be feeling very down right now, but he's a warrior. He has overcome obstacles, and I am sure he will be back in top shape.
Okay, Mauricio, well, just before I let you go, because as I say, we're doing this sort of once a week now, so we don't have to get everything done today. We can save a few things. Alexander Povetkin last night weighed in at a very trim 224 pounds, which is, of course, 1 pound inside the proposal of the new weight class. Just your thoughts on that, really. It only occurred to me at the time. And do we have any development, any update with regards to that? We saw Tony Bellew last night on the Sky broadcast talking about his role in it. Just talk to us about the developments with the new division.
Well, it's a fact. The heavyweight is a king division, and one punch can do it all. We saw it. The 224 pound knocking out the 250 pound, and that has not changed. And it was discussed when we were talking this, because there is a any heavyweight from 201 or even a cruiserweight can challenge for the heavyweight championship. The proposed division is to look into those cruiserweights that do not take the step going to heavyweight and that they have to sacrifice weight and be into a complicated situation to stay within 200. And also those smaller heavyweights, the ones that are naturally 205, 210, that are down in that region. And any of those could challenge the heavyweight. That's not something that has not been put aside. We are through Tony Bello. He is talking to fighters to see what is the fighters' opinion, what they feel. The smaller heavyweights, what do they feel? But they can still challenge the heavyweight. So this is ongoing. I feel very good from what I've been hearing. Of course, there's always the traditionalists that wish we had only 8 weight categories and that fights would be 15 rounds or maybe 50 rounds open as it was at the beginning. But we're trying, this is something for safety, but also for giving the opportunity to those smaller heavyweights, large cruiserweights that would find a niche where they can compete for a championship.
Well, we look forward to hearing more from that. And obviously we saw last night just what a 224-pound man can do against a 250-pound man. Before I let you go, Mauricio, we are no doubt going to be joined in this interview, or people are going to be watching this, a big percentage of UK fans. Now, of course, we've been doing our interviews for quite some time now. We're getting a regular thing going with the UK. What message have you got to fans from the UK who would have watched last night the WBC interim title between Alexander Povetkin and Dillian Whyte?
My salute to all the British fans. You are the best in the world, without a doubt. I'm surprised every time there's an event in England, in the UK. There's a tremendous following, which is great. Social media is a great element that adds to the sport. There are few of you fans who are very aggressive. If you tell me something with respect, I take it and I accept it and I learn from it. But if you tell me something that my daughter, my son, my wife reads, I simply tell you that it's blank, that I will not accept direct attacks with bad words that have no backing. If you say something with respect and that makes me be better, I will take it and I appreciate it and accept it. But overall, I salute, I take my great respect for the British boxing fans. You are the best.
Okay, well, there we have it. Mauricio Sulaiman, always a pleasure. I'm sure I'll be speaking to you before too long. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social, as always, and I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Take care, Rob. Have a great Sunday.
Thanks, Mauricio.